Yeah. Okay. Right. It's back live. Okay. If you've managed to find this, this will be the second part of our chat because everything just cut off. There was no warning, no nothing, and we were both thrown out of the chat. So fingers crossed, we may be able to keep chatting this time. Yeah. I hope we haven't got all those viewers just sitting watching a blank screen on the other one.
I hope not. I hope they'll switch. I think it might come on to the same thing, but yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. They don't make this easy to sort out, do they?
No.
Yeah, so I completely lost our thread. Yeah, so you were talking about your exciting plans moving up north.
Yeah.
Yeah, my plans aren't as exciting as yours. Mine is to just try and make selling kids' clothes pay. That's
well, I mean, it's. I think the thing is that, like you mentioned though, about the whole moving around the country and what online selling allows you is, I mean, we've seen from the variety of people that join the Facebook group, you know, that people are from all over the country and they can all pick up pretty much the same items. And even if you do have to adjust, you just adjust to the area that you're in. You know, you don't, as long as you're not expecting to find like the same items, as long as you're kind of open-minded enough to know that you may have to change what you're looking for or what's abundant around you. Like, for example, clothes are going to be abundant wherever you go. I mean, you know, Caroline's down in Devon. There's that recently new member, and she makes YouTube videos, Louisa Rogers. She's a student in Newcastle, and she's putting up some amazing clothes finds, like brands that, you know, I've not heard of before, etc. And it just shows you that whether you're at one end of the country or the other, there's scope, isn't there? So yeah, things interesting.
If you've got the right outlook, and if you've got a true sort of entrepreneur's view on it, you will find what works wherever you are and wherever you end up. You know, whether you end up, you know, using auctions more or buying off eBay more or whatever it is. You will just have to make it work, and that is the difference. I think, you know, we see a lot of also through the Facebook group and a lot of the new guys who are just trying to copycat what other YouTubers do or what other sellers do, which will work to an extent, but it may not suit where they are. It may not suit them as a person, and we always encourage people to just try and think for yourself and have that entrepreneur's outlook, and perhaps take what we do and adapt it, and I don't know, just be inventive, be creative, and that's the key to success.
I mean, that's a really important point. Yeah, I mean myself, again, with this situation about moving, I mean, you know that I love selling like my hi-fi and my electricals.
Yeah.
Problem I'm now facing is I've got one eye now on the fact that I also want to streamline the amount of crap I've got to ship around wherever I end up going. So part of me is already thinking of adapting. And again, thanks to the wealth of knowledge available, it's quite easy to use different methods to make money. So I might be focusing less now on hi-fis or separates or larger items, just because I'm thinking, well, I might move more towards smaller items. I might move towards focusing a bit more on my Amazon FBA account, anything that can suit my current situation, because obviously while I'm moving, eBay is not going to be as good an option as something like FBA, where it's all handled off-site. So I've got all these things running through my head as well, and it just shows you that you've got to be willing to adapt. So even though I love selling CD players and amplifiers, it would be daft of me to be lugging, you know, like VCRs and amps all across the country. Just the bulk and the weight of it would just be a bit of a pain, along with all the regular household stuff. So, you know, it's only temporary, but I think I'll have to change what I'm doing, you know, looking from now till July. And then once I'm settled back up, then obviously I can.
It may be also that wherever you end up settling, you can't source as much of that. I don't know. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
You may have to rethink your you know, your kind of whole business plan, really.
Completely,
but I have faith that you can do that. You know, you've thought outside the box many times, and it's not something that you're incapable of at all, and I'm sure you will.
Well, I mean, I think one cool thing is that as long as you go all out in no matter what you do, even if it's the wrong thing, as the fact that you're going all out will mean if you've done something wrong, you'll find out quicker because you're not taking that much longer to make that, you know, judgment. So whatever judgment you make, as long as you're fully behind it, you're going to find out quick enough whether it works or not.
And also, I do that. I throw myself into stuff 100%. I mean, if people have followed me since I started this channel, you'll realize I decide I'm doing something and I go balls out to do it. Whether that's right or whether it works is, you know, it's always questionable. And that we're right in the middle of one of those decisions right now with the shop. And it's made our life complicated financially, and things are tough right now. You know, we're barely taking a wage because we're putting everything back into that to give it the best shot it can. Because there's no point in half-heartedly doing it because it will fail anyway. So we're throwing 100% into that. And, you know, it makes life complicated and difficult in the short term. But whether it works or it fails, we will come out of it going, we gave that 100%. And that's how I've always done things. And I think that's the way to do things. If you half-heartedly go into anything in life, you come out of it feeling, did I give that enough? You know, so yeah, all you've got to do, mate, is just throw yourself into it, and it'll be, enjoy the journey, enjoy the whole thing. It's going to be great. Exactly.
I mean, you know, like I think there's a great saying where people say, don't wish for security, wish for adventure. Because, you know, otherwise it's so much more fun that way, because life should be an adventure. And when I came up to see you and I saw your shop, and when you see it in the flesh, you know, you see your retail unit, you think actually you took such a big gamble, in the sense that you were coasting along fine, but I'm guessing there was something niggling at you thinking, I could do something more, you know, and you've gone for it. And, you know, like you said, you've got some time to figure out whether it's going to be worth pursuing or not. You know, but it's the fact that you've done it is going to give you satisfaction, experience, and plus the knowledge now that of knowing that at least you've tried it, and obviously touch wood, it will go the right way, and you know you can actually make a brand of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, as I said before, the clothing side of it is Andrea's passion, and when we had the old gaming shop, that was me, you know, cut me in half, and I'm a retro gamer, and that's what you find. And that whole business that we did for 8 years was me making good money out of my passion. And this is we kind of pursued this because that's what Andrea really wanted to do. And you know, if it does turn out that we can't kind of get it to where we want financially, we will close the doors, because business is black and white. That's the other thing. Although this is kind of an emotional adventure, and we're doing it because it's what Andrew's passionate about, when it comes down to it, it's black and white. And if the numbers aren't there on the page, we'll have to close the doors and we'll go and do something else, and we will throw ourselves into something else. And that's just how it is. But yeah, what you were saying about life as an adventure is totally true. And what you find is, if you have all these plans and you think, I'm trying to get here and I'm trying to get there, and you're constantly thinking forward, you're missing what life is, which is the bit that, you know, what's the phrase, life is what happens while we're making plans, I think it is. And you have to enjoy the ride, really, otherwise you miss it completely.
I mean, it is a complete mindset change. I mean, I've got to say that I think the thing I've learned most really is all in your head, pretty much, that the mentality that you have when you're employed to the mentality that you have when you're self-employed. I mean, it won't kick in straight away. I mean, you know, I've wasted a lot of time. I mean, like I said to you earlier, sometimes I like to sit down and think, how many productive hours do you do? Because I remember when you're at work and you're clocked in for your 8-hour shift, you're working for those 8 hours, you know, because you've got a manager or a shift manager or a floor manager, and you're being checked and targeted. You know, what have you done so far, etc., etc. When you're your own boss, you don't have that, and it takes time to learn it. Just because it's a necessity doesn't mean you're going to immediately just do it because it's the necessary thing to do, because it's still a habit that you have to break. And I think I'm finally getting there. Because it's taken some time, but I think I'm seeing the beginnings of a more regular and better work attitude, you know, suited to working at home.
Yeah, well, it is a huge mental shift, the whole thing. And in our group that we chat with, you know, a few people have had bad weeks sales wise, and that can really rock you. But you'll find when you've been doing this for X amount of years, you get so used to that. But that does take a long time because there is no financial security. And when you have a bad day or you have a bad week, it's, I don't know, coping with that is what makes you stronger in the long term, because you know that you will get through it. And if anything, that just makes me work harder. It's like, okay, I've had a crap day, I need to double my efforts tomorrow. And I don't know, it's kind of feeds your desire to do better all the time.
Sure.
Yeah,
I've got to say, that's probably, if I was to say there's one thing that I'm happiest learning, as it were, I think it's being able to cope with those days. I think because I think just not knowing how much money you're going to have in is definitely it takes time, but I think I can cope with it now. I don't panic as much. I don't fluster as much. I kind of just think, well, you know, it's not surprising.
You end up kind of living in the, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, exactly. Which is risky, but you've got to cope with it some way.
It is a complete mental mind shift to living in a state of constant insecurity, to be honest. You know, unless you have a business that takes off and is earning you an absolute fortune. You know, when you're talking about reselling on the level that we do, it is kind of week to week quite often. And yeah, it's a lot to get your head around, and yeah, not easy.
I think that's why people panic sometimes, because just because you found like an amazing haul, or just because you found an amazing item at your charity shop run or wherever, there's literally no guarantee that you're going to find something like that again anytime soon, or you may find it 2 days in a row. There's just no guarantee of it. And I think that's why it becomes so important to have like this positive attitude where you can just soak in information and adapt it to being able to see profit wherever you are, because there is so much in, I mean, just because you come away with bags from a boot fair, it doesn't mean you haven't left absolutely tons of stuff out there that you didn't even look at that can also make money. That's the way I like to look at it. I mean, some people will come out from boot fairs with bags and bags of clothes and shoes. Some people come out with bags of electronics. Some people come out with bags of games and media. Yeah. There's so much out there. And I think as long as you can kind of pick into as many areas as possible at each stall or at each auction, job lot, whatever it is, I think you can be fine. And thankfully, you know, I've made some good friends with you, and you got people like Hicksy as well. You got people like, you know, Carol, you know, Carolyn, and God knows, we're all spread over. I mean, you've got Tom in Nottingham, around there anyway, and you just feel that wherever you are, this can be doable, and it's that alone can give you a lot of comfort. So yeah. I'm going
to try and work on you to convince you that selling Lego is a good idea. Because did you see my post earlier? I was out walking the dog, and I had 50 quid's worth of 2 Lego sales, £50, whilst I was out walking the dog in the sunshine.
Okay, yeah, I mean that sounds good. I do have some Lego. It's just it's the FBA, so it's new, so I don't have to worry about it. And I think I've got a couple of it. I just can't do it, Nick. I can't.
It's funny because I'm similar with certain electronics. I see VCRs and stuff today, you know, or you know, now when I'm out and about, and I still leave them because
50 quid a pop.
I look at them and I think I've got to test that. I've got to, you know, there's no remote with it. Can I sell it with that? I've got to. I don't even have a video to put in it and test.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's like I could do it. I know I could.
It sounds really terrible, but I actually ended up with someone's home video movie, like home wedding. I bought a VCR, and I don't know why, but I like testing all the VCRs with this wedding movie. So that's the VCR tape I've got now. Yeah, so you know, you'll normally find that there might be a VCR in the odd boot fair, but I mean, I suppose that's quite interesting because when I look at a VCR, I see it so much simpler than that. I just see it's a couple of quid. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I bin it. If it works, it's an easy 50 quid most times, depending on the models you're picking up. But you know, because I can also see that on the other side that the size of it, the awkwardness of it, just the fact that you've got to check out an electronic item, it can put people off. And just like with me, with Lego, I look at Lego and I fluster.
Yeah, because I've done Lego so many times, it's well within my comfort zone. I know that the amount of profit I can get per pound invested in Lego, I can make serious profit. And with electronics, I still have loads stuffed in my loft. And part of my brain says, there's a VCR there, Nick. I know Zaheer tells me I can make good money on this. And the other half of my brain says, it will sit in the loft for a year. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I need to work on that. I really do.
But I think that's kind of good to know as well, because, you know, we all, when I'm out at the boot fairs and I see these guys thinking, you got any Lego? I'm walking past with this smug grin on my face, even though they've got smug grins because they're picking up hundreds of pounds of Lego that I'm just leaving. I'm not even going for. But I'm walking past them with a smug grin going, ha, suckers, you know, asking for Lego. And I'm going and looking at what I look for. But that's the thing. It's like an ecosystem, and everyone can find their own little niche or set of niches. I mean, I don't think niche is the right word in a way, because it kind of insinuates that you just focus on one item, but you've got to have a set of niches, like a bunch, really. Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. It's funny, I was just looking at this because you kind of inspired me to pick up, it's a couple of months back, a couple of Walkmans. Do you remember I had a Panasonic, I think it was a Panasonic maybe, and another. I bought 3 for a couple of quid, I think it was. Yeah, one of them ended up being a duff, and the other 2 sold for, I think, 15 and 10. So I made okay money, but I didn't have a cassette. So this is now my testing cassette.
Ace of Base.
Yeah. Do you remember them from the early 90s?
Yeah, I remember All That She Wants.
Yeah. Oh, was that your ka-ching?
It was, I don't know. Oh, a nice Benson and Hedges vintage tin, cigarette tin. Okay, cool. Yes, so yeah. Again, that's the thing. Just if it looks, I think the best rule is what Scavenger Life says. When those guys over there, it just stuck in my head. If I think it's cool, the chances are someone else probably will as well. That's it. I think you can literally forget everything else. Just if you think it's cool, the chances are there's someone else out there in the millions of consumers out there that will also share your love for whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think with the obscure kind of the things that fall into that bracket of, does it look cool? Is it interesting? That's where you can add value by listing it well. You know, picking the right category, picking the right keywords, taking fantastic photos. That's where eBay, that's where some of the skill involved comes into it, I think, when you're talking obscure stuff. It's interesting you selling tins, because I see that the likes of Ken has inspired you. You know, I love the way the inspiration goes around our group of people.
Isn't it? It is. I mean, and it's just about taking a punt. I mean, I think when I got these, I bought these at a job lot at auction, and the guy asked me, "Oh, was there something good in there?" As if he thought I knew what I was buying. Right. He thought I'd made, and I thought, I don't know really. I thought the other guy was going for it, so I thought there must be something good in that. So that's, you know, and I don't mind making a fool of myself like that, because I just think that sometimes you know, it's chance, isn't it? You have a feeling about something. And plus, it, like you said, with eBay, it gives you a lot of creativity in terms of how you can market your items. I mean, people use things like Octavia. I mean, I've not used that myself, but you know, you can kind of jazz up your listings with that and how they look. But also just the fact that you get to take your own photos. I mean, even something as really dull as a VCR. For example, if you just take a face-on photo of it, I noticed it looks okay, but it's hard to get a good idea of what it is. You put it at like a slight angle, you know, and take one of those kind of fancy shots of it, and suddenly it looks so much nicer, you know, like in a magazine review in What Hi-Fi, they always angle the product, and you're like, of course they do, to give it that depth. And you learn these little tricks and tips, and you think, oh, definitely, it gives you that creative license, I think, and I think it definitely can help in sell your items. But it's like you said, it's about just giving it a go, isn't it? I mean, I'm scared sometimes.
Those tins you said you went for at auction, let's say you spent £10-15 or whatever, it will have been worth spending that, even if they were all crap, because you would have had to do the research to find out which ones are crap. And I bet you along the way, you've whether you know it or not, you've absorbed a load of tins that are worth good money because you've spotted them while you're doing your research. You go, ooh, that one, and oh, that one, and that's how you learn. So, yeah, I don't care making mistakes. I think making mistakes is a positive because A, you won't do it again.
Yeah.
B, you guarantee you will learn along the way something that is worth picking up, and that will. It's like paying it forward. It's like 6 months down the line, I will know what tin is worth 20 quid rather than nothing.
Yeah.
And talking about taking a punt, did you see Caroline's picture of that vase that she just decided she'd take?
I did.
What's it, like a red,
some fancy Finnish designer, like some retro Finnish.
Took a chance at a charity shop for like £4, and she reckons it's what, 40 or 50 pounds worth.
Well, now she's going to be selling that. Look, we could definitely assign her as the ceramic glass guru.
Yeah, all your questions about glass and ceramics, pop over to Caroline's channel.
Anything at all, it doesn't matter.
Caroline is now the vase guru.
Vase guru, that's the official title. Yeah.
Did you see Tom's bit of a rant video about internet gurus?
Yes, I did. I thought it was very amusing and accurate. Yeah. And you know what? It's a real iffy subject in a lot of ways because YouTube is about just sharing, and to that level, it shouldn't matter what your experience is. It's just about sharing your experiences. So, for example, when I make my videos, I'm hoping they come across that I'm just sharing what I've done. So I share with you guys what my sales are to literally the weekly level. I've been doing my show where I'm just literally showing my sales, how much I've made, how much I've cleared. And if I find something cool, I find that in my experience, I'm sharing with you that I've sold this for this much. I think this is cool. And I think there's a fine line between that and then being able to give out advice, because giving out advice is, if you set yourself up to give out advice, then you can be culpable in a way to giving out bad advice if you give out bad advice. And for some reason, I've noticed people are very on top of that when it comes to talking about tax. If you ask anyone about tax, they'll say, well, I'm not really an expert on tax. You should probably speak to an accountant. They'll say that.
I say no. I get questions, and I'm like, if you want serious answers about that, don't talk to some middle-aged bloke sat in a room full of tat. Don't ask me. I mean, I've been doing my tax returns for like well over a decade. I used to have an accountant, but I dropped him because I taught myself how to do it. But I'm not going to set myself up as knowing how to do your tax return, because I wouldn't want to offer some advice which turns out to be wrong. I leave that well alone if I can.
And I think especially out in the States, everyone says, oh, you know, check with a CPA, check with a CPA. Very keen on pointing that out. But when it comes to talking about eBay or FBA, then everyone's very happy to give out advice. And I think certain people are obviously going to be more qualified than others. I mean, I'm like, for example, look at yourself. You've been doing this for 14 years. So if you say something, you'd be daft not to listen to it. Obviously, once you've listened to it, then how you act on it is up to you. But it makes common sense for some, you know, to listen to someone with your experience. On the other hand, I've got like 1.5 years experience. Now, if you started listening to everything I'm doing, you would make mistakes like I've made, and you know, it would cost you like it's cost me. Now, there are certain things that I feel confident talking about, but that's because, guess what? I'm experienced in them. I might not have been reselling electronics, but I've been living, breathing electronics since I was a young kid, basically. And even my previous jobs were heavily based in that. And, you know, like I said, I mean, I spent a good few years working in the high-end audio section at Harrods, selling some of the most, you know, high-end audio and home cinema setups that you could ever imagine. I mean, we were selling hi-fis costing 30, 40 grand. It wasn't a big thing, you know, and so I'm used to going and installing these things in very rich people's houses in Knightsbridge. You know, people would ask me to come around and you know, put this up, and I could do that confidently. So even though I'm not reselling experienced, I feel pretty experienced when it comes to talking about electronics, and hence I talk about electronics.
Yeah,
So,
that comes across. It comes across that you have a certain amount of passion for that as well.
yeah.
And I think that will have come across recently with the whole Lego thing. I mean, I talk about, as you, I kind of just try and document my day-to-day. I pick up this, I pick up that, I flog this. These are good if you find them, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, when it comes to Lego, I mean, part of me wants to go back to just doing Lego because it is the perfect thing in my head to resell. It takes up so little room. The profit on return is fantastic. The demand is all year round, unsatiable. You know, it's hardly seasonal at all, but it does have a peak. If you're talking
selling me, Nick, you're selling me.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny, and you see that in the videos when people come onto a product that they're really passionate about. They can talk about it easily. They know all the terms. You can see the passion coming across, and that's kind of what I'm like with Lego and with media to a certain extent. Because my history, my job history, apart from the weird little becoming a policeman bit in the middle, was working in retail for R Price and Virgin, and having my own little record store. So yeah, it is interesting. And I just think, going back to Tom's video, I think he had a point that people shouldn't try too hard to set themselves up as being a font of all knowledge, especially if perhaps they haven't learnt the ropes themselves yet. That's all I would say. I'm not pointing fingers or naming names, but yeah, people perhaps need to just chill out a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's as simple as that, really. It's everyone's got something to contribute, and you know, I think as long as you do it, you know, just responsibly, really. Just do it responsibly. Don't feel like anyone could just so that no one ever can come back at you and say, oh, you said this was a good idea and it's turned out to be a bad idea. I'm not saying it from a legal point of view that they could sue you or something like that. I don't mean like that. We're in the UK, we're quite good with that kind of thing. But just from a moral perspective, really, like, you know, don't set yourself up in that kind of a setup. It just doesn't, you know, people, and I don't think it makes for very interesting watching either, to be honest with you. I think it's much more interesting just when people show literally from the bag, from the boot fair, this is what I've got. That for me is exciting, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into haul videos again this summer, because I think that's why my channel took off, because people were just drawn to that. I love watching haul videos as well. It's kind of that sense of what's coming out next sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're interesting. And also, I just want to say, I mean, I don't like that people set... I've got a lot of followers on my channel for whatever reason, right? But please, people, don't set me above. I'm not some guru. I don't know everything. I've just been selling TAT for a long time. That's the only thing that might set me apart. But there are so many other resellers out there who know a lot more than me, who are better at this than me, more efficient than me, you know, cleverer than me, whatever. I just happen to have been doing this and making a living at it for a long time. But God, I'm no guru, and please, people out there, don't think I set myself up as that. I just enjoy sharing what I do, and the whole point of this is that it's inspired others to give it a go. And Z, you are the perfect example of that. And yeah, so yeah, the whole guru thing, load of old bollocks, really, to be honest.
Just to put it plainly, I mean, I've got to say, yeah, I mean, it was watching your videos that gave me that confidence, that literally that. It brought out the best and worst in me, in the sense that I did jump into it, you know, but that's how I do things. And just because that's how I do things, and you know, you were similar in that respect, like you said, it doesn't make it right for everyone else. Like, no. My wife would never do that. She would never ever do that, because she'd just be like, you know, that's crazy. How could you do that? It's just, you know, where you're just going to quit. She had to see me regularly bringing in a certain amount of income before it slowly started to seem real to her.
Yeah. Whereas it sounds like you two could be a great team, because if she's a more rational,
robot,
organized, all the positive things, right? Your wife's all of that, and you're this crazy, yeah, let's buy some more VCRs.
Yeah, it pretty much is. I mean, she's the sensible one and I'm the crazy one, so it works out really well. We've actually got some Q&A stuff going on here as well, Nick. I don't know if you've seen the chat.
No, I haven't. Do you want to do what we did last time?
I've got some up here. I'm sure there's going to be some interesting ones. No, I'm not moving to Japan. Let's have a look. Great chat. You're always walking past. Yeah, Get Down the Gym says, you're always walking past hundreds of pounds of profit just to find that £5 board game. Well, yeah, some people might do that. I mean, if again, what we've talked about, if you just copy and say you're someone that's new to reselling, you may have only seen Nick's first videos, you might be working through the catalog, you know, and you might be still at the board game video section. I think
we are all guilty of sometimes getting a bit of tunnel vision and focusing on the stuff. You know, I know I would have passed by stuff that I didn't know about or didn't take a chance on because I was too busy rummaging through a pile of media that was all crap. You know, we're all guilty of focusing on the stuff that we're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. Gary says Lego rocks. So that's good. My niche was board games. DJ Winnie says my niche was board games. I hate them now. Everyone I have picked up lately has been incomplete, but can't stop buying them. Lol. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing. If you enjoy selling them, you will keep on picking them up, even though some will be empty. Steve the Reseller says I like that with mugs and cups. You can't leave them. Okay, so Steve the Reseller likes mugs and cups. I mean, it's great. We're getting all these people's views on what they like picking up. You know, let's have a look.
I dabbled in cups and mugs over the years, and recently I've just been leaving them all behind. I've just gone off that. The ones I do pick up and seem to sell really well for me are the Disney ones and Starbucks ones, but I just never see them now. I think that kind of niche is totally out there now. People know how collectible they are. But yeah, I'm not really doing the mug thing. I got in on that bloody soup bowl thing just after it finished. These bloody things.
That was a risky move. I think you have to be some kind of a soup dragon to know when was the right time to get in and out of that. We've got a gentleman called Meth Head in the chat as well. Who says, how comes you don't talk about hamburgers? Looks like you have a passion for that too. Yes, that's true. I do like my hamburgers. You might be able to tell. Thanks for that comment.
Yeah. We had a nice hamburger when you were down, didn't we? Rather hungover at the beach.
Exactly. It's a sort of hamburger-based chat, actually. So Vinny Gardner says, inspired me to get on the net too, Nick, along with Zaheer too. Oh, that's nice. Vinny Gardner as well. He's a great YouTube channel. He runs a shop as well and has had some amazing hauls. Again, haul videos are fun. I mean, I don't think people I think again, with the style of video, don't feel like you have to do anything special. We're all tap monkeys, as people say. We're all addicts to this stuff, so don't feel like you have to come up with some new exciting way of making videos. You know, get out there this summer, you know, get your bags full of loot at the boot fair and then just share them with us, and I think we'll all be happy, and that's all of us as a community. I think, you know. Paulie Scott says, here, can I have a shout out? Nick, and then he asked you as well. There you go. Sean Longley asks, where are the boxes? I'm not sure where they are. What boxes?
Tatty boxes.
Tatty boxes. Oh, that's quite a slim box.
That's quite a slim.
Looks like a tight-fitting box, definitely. Let's have a look. What else? Let's see if there's any serious ones. Joe's reselling for pennies asks here, what do your family think about the idea of moving? Initially, when you tell anyone about moving, especially down here, everyone says, why? Because everyone down here thinks London is the place to be. And it is, especially if you are lucky enough or you're smart enough to be on the housing ladder, definitely. If I owned a house down here, then yes, I would stay down here and watch it accumulate in value massively. But it's just the reality of, when I explain to them the reality of what are the real chances of me being able to own a house down there, you know, they totally understand. Obviously, they're a bit disappointed in that sense, but that's it really. Zachary Anderson says, I've been sticking to hats mostly recently. Not a bad turnover, especially with snapbacks. Yeah, I mean, some people are very knowledgeable about hats. I mean, we've actually got ads on the Facebook group and on YouTube as well, who's got a bit of a thing for hats and has a lot of hats, and but also in a reselling sense. I mean, he just seems to like them personally, but as a reselling as well. I mean, there's lots of people that do very well out of hats and caps and snapbacks.
I was going to ask. I know very little about hats, and I've heard that term snapback. Yeah. Is that a style of clasp at the back? I'm going to be a complete no.
I am not 100% sure, but I think it's just like an American type term for just a baseball cap. I'm guessing the brim
peak.
The brim used to be able to snap back on them. I'm not sure. Like you could have
right.
The brim. I'm not 100% sure. So I could be completely wrong.
To do with how they snap back.
Snap back. It could be either of those. We could both be wrong.
Yeah. Nick and Z, the hat gurus here. We know nothing.
I have sold caps in the past, so I am a guru for the caps. Paulie Scott, yeah, we've shouted you out. Okay, Pro Seller, good luck with the move. You'll get more bargains here in the north. Oh, thanks a lot. Joe says, yeah, it is the place to be. Okay. Joe Royal asks, what kind of electronics would you keep away from like the plague? I would say whatever you don't like. I mean, if you're Nick Hills, then I guess most electronics.
Most of it.
So again, that's what we mean by that, John Royal. Like, it's not about a specific items. There's probably there's probably profit in every type of electronics. It's just what you're comfortable with. Texas Gal Treasures says no snapback. I don't know what she means by that. I thought she might be giving us some American knowledge.
Yeah, Margaret, tell us why they're called snapbacks. Is it to do with the peak? Is it to do with the fastener at the back?
Oh, Meth Head actually says snapbacks these days are the ones with the brim, which is straight.
Okay.
That's what young people mean when they say, that's what they mean when they say snapback. So thanks for that, Meth Head. Oh, okay, and Vinny Gardner's just come in with flat cap in some areas is an urban slang for an adjustable flat brim baseball cap. Oh, okay.
Actually, Z, you're going to have to learn about flat caps because if you're moving up to...
I've heard gravy and flat caps.
You've got to get yourself a whippet.
Could we be any more stereotypical?
We could try.
Oh, no, Texas Gal says snapbacks are the fastening at the back.
Come on, told you.
Well, okay. Although trucker hats, God, this is becoming quite complicated. Did you see how much there's to learn about just caps?
Exactly.
I mean, it's insane. I
must say a hi to Margaret. How are you doing, Margaret?
Hi, Margaret. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's pretty amazing how it's pretty amazing how much there is to learn about so many different niches you can and that's the thing when you want to set yourself up as knowledgeable or as a guru, you really do have to know a lot. You can't just base it. I know we've been joking about sell one item and you're a guru. It's definitely not the case. There's so much to learn about even the most simple sounding topics. Joe is reselling for pennies. Joe asks, has Nick got any plans for the shop, doing anything differently, advertising initiatives? It's been great to follow his journey. So
we've been trying various things. There's a new cafe opening up just around the corner. We're going to do cross promotion with those guys. We've had a promotion with there's a place called Fabio's. They do ice cream and all of that. We've been doing a bit of cross promotion there. Had a huge run of leaflets done, which we are going to have to hand deliver. We can't actually afford to pay the company to deliver them right now. It's so expensive. So we've had those printed and we're pushing those out. Do you remember we had those T-shirts done, made in Hitchin?
Yeah,
they've been really popular, and that is bringing custom in. So we're having another big run of those made. So yeah, it's just keep on keeping on, really. We certainly haven't had the consistent footfall we thought we would. Winter was terrible. It's picking up already, and I think as we come into spring and the clock changes, I think trade will naturally increase back again up through the summer. But yeah, it's tough, and it was always going to be a gamble, and we said that from day one. But yeah, I'm nothing if not a trier. But we shall see. The jury is out whether we carry on past the 2 years. Who knows?
I mean, that's just it. It is just, if you don't try, and I think advertising, etc., they're all costs that you have to. They're risks in a way, aren't they? Because you don't know how effective it's going to be.
The thing with advertising, we've been in retail for years, and the thing with advertising is, unless you have some coupon attached that comes back to you, or you ask every customer, how did you find out about us? It's very hard to gain any knowledge as to whether your £400 ad in the paper or whatever did anything. You know, it's really hard to know. And when financially week on week you're struggling to pay the rent or whatever, and you think, I need to spend another £600 on an advertising run, it's a real gamble. And especially when you don't have that money to hand, it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. But yeah, it's tricky. Very tricky.
Paulie Scott is very keen to ask, I'm earning £15 a month. Is it worth jacking my job in? I would say in that scenario, no. If you work for a year, that should be about £180, and you may be able to afford a backstreet lobotomy with that. So I'd say stick at it, definitely. So,
what did I miss then?
It's just someone asking if they've got a job paying £15 a month.
£15, yeah, £15 a month.
So I just,
thought Lego, you'll learn more than that in half an hour.
Yeah, so I gave my opinion. So yeah, you should stick at it. It's a good job. Let's have a look. Okay. Have you or Nick ever given up on reselling? Why do you think most people give up reselling and don't see it out? And Nick, do you think you'll be doing it in your 60s?
I haven't, since I went full-time self-employed in 2002. We haven't gone back to work at all, as in paid employment. So in that sense, no, I haven't given up. There's been moments, there's been moments where we think, oh my God, let's do something else. But we've just chopped and changed it, and we've done retail. We've come out of retail, gone back in, sold different things, specialized in different things. So we've constantly changed and evolved, and I think that's what's kept it interesting. I have a real problem with focus and with sticking at one thing and doing that well. You may have realized this by now. But yeah, just to keep it interesting and keep changing it, that's what we've done, really.
I mean, it's interesting you say that, because obviously you do change a lot of what you do, but overall you keep going because you've decided that you want to be self-employed. Now, what you do as self-employed is up for debate, because you might be a shop retailer, you might be an online retailer, you might end up doing something completely left field. But
it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah. I was going to say, when we asked for questions for this Q&A that we're getting, a lot of people have said, what's your 5-year plan and what can you see yourself doing in the future? And it wouldn't surprise me if I do something totally off the wall. I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years, and I love that. But that's not for everyone. I know a lot of people like to live in security and climb the corporate ladder or whatever their goal is, and I admire that as well. But yeah, I kind of love the complete mystery of what I'm going to be doing and who I'm going to be in 5 years.
But I think, and the running thread through that though is that you don't give up on reselling, on being self-employed. Excuse me, not reselling, but you don't give up on being self-employed. I mean, the people do give up because it can be hard at first, but that can be with anything. That can be with a new job. A lot of people start a new job from their old job and they don't like it, and they go back to their old employer because they didn't give their new job enough of a chance. So that's just natural, and I think it's not exclusive to being self-employed. It's not exclusive to reselling. So I'd say that, yeah, people do give up. I found something that, in my opinion, that I wouldn't give up on, and it's not necessarily reselling. It's being self-employed. It's being my own boss that I think is the reason why I'm not going to give up at this.
Yeah, I think it's interesting watching you over the last year, and you've had weeks or months where it's been tough, and battled with it mentally, but I think eventually over time it becomes a way of life, and you become kind of acclimatized to that way of life, and then it becomes harder to get out of it. You know, I think I would find it hard going back into employment now, mainly because of the reasons that I struggled in employment in the first place, which was being told what to do, essentially. I used to question everything. I question everything that I'm told, to be honest, which is why when I joined the police force and was a very small cog in a very regimented machine, I really wasn't happy. And that, you know, it was obvious to me very quick I had to get out. But yeah, I've lost my thread. What was I saying?
You were just saying you like being your own boss.
Yeah, essentially. And yeah, once you get your head around that, relating it to you, and you become comfortable with the ups and downs and perhaps the stresses of very little security day to day, you get used to that, and then it's hard to get out and consider going back to employment.
And if anything, you have to, it's about belief in yourself that you can create your security. That security that you're missing is only in comparison to employment. And your security there is at a big cost. When you're employed by someone, you're given job security and a secure regular paycheck, but it is at a cost, and that cost is that there's always a ceiling. So you know, that's worth bearing in mind. We'll do one more question, I think, because it's 7:03. I'm guessing you've got to get going soon. But Joe asked.
Well, yeah, I'm off round to a friend's house, so yes.
Okay, yeah. We'll do one more question. It was a nice simple one. Best sale of the year so far. So what was your best sale of the year so far, Nick?
Oh, blimey, on the spot. I don't know. I haven't had any real big, amazing ones. That Warhammer stuff, I still have the Necron army out of that, frustratingly. I've had a few decent offers that I was tempted to take. But yeah, that job lot of Warhammer that I sold off has made me a whole load of cash.
Fair enough. That's a good one. Yeah, that Necron army you've got up for quite a decent amount, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm holding out. I had it on at 250. I mean, I've made a few £100s on all the other bits and bobs I sold already, so that's kind of the cherry on the cake. Bear in mind, I paid £10 for everything. It's just phenomenal pickup. One of my best boot sale pickups ever, that. So yeah, I've got nothing to lose, so I'm thinking I will hold out for that one Warhammer geek who is, you know, really wants a whole army ready painted.
Yeah. I think my favourite one's got to be just, I had a Pioneer turntable that I got for like a £5. Managed to sell it for 145 or 150 plus postage, and it was a beautiful machine, and it's gone to a happy owner, and that was good for me. So
yeah, they're really trendy again, aren't they? The whole vinyl comeback.
Yeah. Vintage turntables, certain brands can bring you good money even if they're not in working order, because most people will change the belts on them, will clean them up inside. So even if they're faulty, you can get decent money as long as the case and the platter, etc., are all in good condition. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's probably been the one standout sale that I remember. But like Method says, it should be anything that makes you money. So yeah, I think that we'll leave it at that, because there's a few kind of trolly comments, nothing major. Oh, actually, I'll just quickly mention, Jay Tibbs says he got Chibi Robo for the GameCube. He paid £2 and got £56 after fees. That's a pretty good flip there. So Chibi Robo for the GameCube is definitely on the Bolo list there.
Yeah, I remember that game. It's like a little character who wanders around the house, and it's to do with collecting power somehow.
So interesting games always tend to do well. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there then, Nick.
Yes, mate. So I'm miles away. Yeah, well, good to speak to you, and I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.